tensions increase around the world with retaliatory U.S. strikes in Syria and more boat strikes in the Caribbean. There is a push to end the war in Ukraine tonight. President Trump previously said he wanted a deal by Christmas, but now Putin is indicating he won't be compromising on any land, suggesting he wants all of Ukraine. We have more on that in a moment. Let's send it out to News Nation's Kellie Meyer live from Mar-a-Lago tonight. And Kellie, a lot on the foreign policy front right now. Let's start in Latin America. We know the U.S. chasing another oil tanker linked to Venezuela.
Yeah, I'm glad you started there, Natasha, because I was just texting with a U.S. official about this and trying to get an update. And as far as we know, and what they just mentioned, is that we are still chasing. We are still in an active pursuit of that vessel. That's what the U.S. official just told me moments ago. They also added that this is it is flying a false flag and under a judicial seizure order. So that's the latest from a U.S. official, that we are still actively pursuing that sanctioned oil tanker. If caught, that would make it the third tanker seized by the U.S. in the Caribbean, and it would make it the second one this weekend if caught. Again, we are still chasing that tanker, that just in moments ago from a U.S. official. But this is definitely keeping with the president's pressure on Venezuela and Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro. We know yesterday, as you see this video here, the U.S. Coast Guard and the Pentagon seized an oil tanker in open waters after it was last docked in Venezuela. And then earlier this month, the vessel called the Skipper became the first oil tanker to be seized off the coast of Venezuela. Venezuela's leader says the U.S. is looking to remove him from power and take oil reserves. But President Trump continues with his strikes by sea on those alleged drug boats, and he continues to threaten potential land strikes on Venezuela. Listen to this.
Mr. President, will you be seeking any authorization from Congress for any land attacks on cartels in Venezuela?
For anyone?
For any land attacks on drug cartels in Venezuela?
I wouldn't mind telling them, but, it's not a big deal. I don't have to tell them.
Now, no word right now from President Trump on the active pursuit of this third tanker. We know he is having dinner at his golf club tonight here in Mar-a-Lago, but he did warn earlier this week and ordered really a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers leaving to and from traveling to and from Venezuela. Maduro had said that they will continue to trade oil and that Trump is just trying to push for regime change. Natasha.
Kellie, appreciate you being in constant communication with your sources on all of this. Meanwhile, I know you're also tracking the war in Ukraine. We know U.S. officials are meeting with their Russian counterparts in Florida this weekend for those crucial talks. What are we learning about that meeting?
Yeah, those crucial talks happening not too far from here in Miami, Florida. That's where U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, along with the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, have been meeting with both the Ukrainian delegation and the Russian delegation for days now. They say those conversations have been productive. And we saw this posted by Steve Witkoff on X, basically saying that Russia remains committed to peace in Ukraine. Now, Putin's special envoy was seen giving a thumbs up as he was asked how he was feeling as he headed to that meeting with Witkoff and Kushner, though he says changes made by the Europeans and Ukrainians to U.S. proposals to end the war did not improve prospects for peace. And earlier this week, Russian President Vladimir Putin called European leaders, quote, little pigs, who wanted to profit from the collapse of Russia. And we're also getting mixed reports from U.S. intelligence. On one hand, reports continue to warn that Putin has not abandoned his aims of capturing all of Ukraine and reclaiming parts of Europe that belonged to the former Soviet Empire. However, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has recently pushed back on that claim. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine's negotiating team is in Florida meeting with the American delegation. He said, quote, they are going through each point in detail and there is constructive engagement with the American side. We heard from Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who has pushed for strict sanctions on Russia. He says he wants to make sure whatever deal is made prevents Russia from ever invading again.
We've made great progress between Ukraine, Europe, and the United States to come up with a proposal that would end the war. We're not going to evict every Russian out of Ukraine. I understand that. But I want a deal that would prevent a third invasion.
Natasha, a lot of momentum and movement this weekend, but it's unclear if it will lead to a deal by Christmas Day, which is Thursday. That's something that the president has laid out as a Christmas Day deadline for Ukraine to accept this deal, though Ukraine is saying that there was no strict deadline here. Natasha.
The clock is ticking on that. Kellie Meyer live for us in Florida tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.